weird. Yes, you did. Made it weird.
What's happening, weirdos? This is very exciting. This is the long, in my opinion, overdue episode with Maria Bamford, one of the funniest and most talented people to ever perform stand-up comedy, and she is wonderful. Go to mariabamford.com for her tour dates and her book, Sure, I'll Join Your Cult, and all different sorts of projects. If Maria Bamford is doing it, do yourself a favor and check it out. I'm so excited she's here. I'm also super excited that we have a new Pete's Pick on this episode. First time out the gate. This has absolutely changed both my life and Val's life for the better by helping us naturally produce more oxytocin. I'm sure you've heard about oxytocin. It is the feel-good hormone, and this supplement is known as Golden Hour by First Person. First Person designs precision, targeted supplements made with functional mushrooms that aim to stimulate the body's natural production of specific neurotransmitters that triggers activities like energy, mood, and sleep. And Golden Hour does just that. Helps me tune in to a sense of joy, connection, and relaxed presence. It is unbelievable. I noticed it the first time I took it within about 15 minutes, and the effect has built over time. Now that I take it every day, it just keeps getting better. Using those precision targeted mushrooms, Golden Hour supports the body's natural production of oxytocin that mitigates stress and boosts the mind-body connection and may even help promote long-term cognitive health. But that's not all. I loved Golden Hour so much, I now take all three of the First Person family of supplements, and I'm so glad I do. Sunbeam maximizes productivity and creative activities by tuning into an inspired, focused mindset by supporting the body's natural production of dopamine to activate the brain's motivation and reward system. And Moonlight helps me stay in deep restorative sleep longer, wake feeling clear and well-rested by supporting the natural production of the GABA neurotransmitter. So we have mushrooms targeted at these different parts of our brain, and it is incredible, and it's even better when you stack them. They're meant to be stacked. They build on each other and complement one another. So when I'm sitting down to work, I take both Sunbeam for dopamine and Golden Hour for oxytocin, so I feel joyful and motivated. And of course, I take Moonlight at bed. That gives me that perfect night's rest, deep and without getting up. It's incredible. It's 100% grain-free organic mushroom, as well as highly curated blend of nutraceuticals. First Person is a game changer, so start improving your brain health and cognition with First Person. You can get 20% off your first order by going to getfirstperson.com and use promo code WEIRD. And these statements, I have to say, I have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But go getfirstperson.com, promo code WEIRD, 20% off. Support your brain, support the show. I'm absolutely obsessed. Speaking of obsessed, this is my Apollo Neuro. If there's one piece of tech, if you guys have ever seen me at a show or even on TV, I'm always wearing my Apollo Neuro because it has changed my life hands down more than any other piece of technology that I own. The Apollo Neuro is a new wearable that helps your body recover from stress by sending vibrations into your body that sends signals to your nervous system by giving it the sensation of being touched or held. Apollo can help you relax, sleep, focus, and be more productive. It's like a wearable hug for the nervous system using touch therapy to help you feel safe and in control. If I do something very stressful, like, I don't know, visiting home or something, I put it on Rebuild and Recover. If I'm traveling a lot, I put it on Unwind the whole time I'm on the plane, and it's just giving my nervous system the signal, it's okay. It's okay, it's okay. And it lulls you and you feel your shoulders rest and you just merge into what is. You can wear it on the wrist or the ankle. Apollo Neuro is like finding the fuse box for your emotions with settings for energy, feeling social, clear and focused, rebuilding and recovering, calm, which is great for meditation, unwind, which is great for getting sleepy before bed, and fall asleep, which is great. It's a non-chemical way, lull yourself back to sleep. Apollo Neuro was developed by a neuroscientist and a board-certified psychiatrist who have been studying the impacts on chronic stress in humans for nearly 15 years, and their effect on stress, sleep, cognitive performance, and recovery have been proven in multiple clinical trials. So give it a try. 10% off at apolloneuro.com/weird. Support your body, support the show. APOLLONEURO.com/weird. And I am on the road. Go to PeteHolmes.com. I'm going to be at Largo on September 5th. Hope to see you there if you're in Los Angeles. In the meantime, enjoy my chat with the hilarious and wonderful Maria Bamford. Get into it.
So nice to see you. There's your microphone.
Okay, here we go.
Just get in.
Get in here.
Just jump in.
Take it off.
Just get in.
Run inside.
You're wearing a gladiator sandal.
I am, of course. These
Like
are
your bed.
These are my dead mother's sandals.
I was going to ask, are those your dead mothers? Every time I see you, I go, are those your dead mother's frames?
No, but she did have some like this. Those went to
Oh.
my niece. My niece wanted them.
Are we pissed about that?
Well, there's a little tug of war back and forth, and I said, "We're hurting the glasses. I mean, they're durable, but they're not."
Yeah, when did your mom pass?
That was like 4 years ago, and my dad just passed away about.
What if I was like, and you're still wearing the sandal? Like, I think you should be over it.
No, no.
And we're still thinking about her? Move on. Move on, Marie.
She's. These are great sandals. Turns out, my mom buys a Hardy sandal,
And they're fashionable,
and
aren't
they're
they?
fashion. Well, I mean, I guess Barbie wears a sort of sandal like this, so I guess it is fashionable at this moment.
I'll tell you why I thought it was fashionable was that you say OCD is the new gladiator sandal, and only on that I go, I guess gladiator sandals are cool. Because you wouldn't say that if
Well,
it was like they're the new...
They were at that time. I think that was in the, I don't know, in the 10s.
Yeah.
Is this the show? Is it happening?
This is the show. Is that okay?
Okay. No, that's okay. No, I get anxious. Like I'm like, is this the show, or can I open this
You
bottle?
may.
Wait, no, is this for me?
Yeah, it's also for you.
Holy crap!
That's a little bit of caffeine
That's
and then
classy.
adaptogens that help calm you. It's sort of like I don't know how to describe it, but it helps you calm down and focus. And you're
Oh
welcome
my
to it. It's
God!
called Magic
I've
Mind.
already had a nitro cold brew, but I'm gonna put this in my purse,
Yeah.
like the old
Drink it
woman
for
that
later.
I am, and drink it later.
Wet fruit. Sorry, I've been listening to your comedy
no, thank you
so
very
much in
That is-
prep, and also just as a fan. But like today, I
that's very
loaded up.
kind.
And
That's-
you have such a way. You have
Yes.
such a way with words. I love people give your voices and your characters and your style, which all deserve a lot of credit. But I really love your language. I think you're a genius writer.
Thank
and
you.
Super fun.
We're all
We're
trying.
We're
all
trying.
trying.
Have a sip of that water.
Yes,
I
I
want
will.
you to.
Okay.
I'm gonna vamp.
Okay, Vane.
Ah, bamfoo, bamfoo. Thank God that's over.
Now, so what is now your podcast? Is there something I should be covering? Is there a way to?
I think you're in very safe waters,
Okay.
given your interests and
Okay.
your style.
Okay.
I love that you said that what do you say? You're preemptively honest, like preventative.
Oh, preventatively honest. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if anybody,
one of those.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
go
just
ahead.
want to let everybody know. But I also think that is a safety measure. If you tell everybody what's going on inside you, maybe somebody will say, "Hey, looks like you're struggling." Like,
Yeah.
like you might get a little. There's so much mental health care options, through social media. Like everybody's educated about
Yeah.
it now.
Yeah.
So somebody might say, "Ooh, that looks like you're going into an episode."
Isn't that interesting?
It's
No,
nice.
you're absolutely right. Emotional vocabulary is going through the roof. I have a daughter. It's very common to hear other parents. I thought it was just us, like hippie West Coast, but you go all around the country and you hear parents being like, "Sounds like you're having some big feelings."
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give you some space. You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah.
You hear parents apologizing more.
Yes.
Unheard of
Again, no.
in the 80s.
Yeah,
Unheard
no,
of.
I know. Yeah, no.
Don't crack that veneer.
No, my mom began apologizing once she went to school for. She became a marriage and family therapist, and then she started apologizing. And I love my mom's apologies were blanket. It was sorry.
Like
Which
an oscillating
really kind
fan.
of does
yeah.
the trick. Yeah, it's like
Sorry.
it's also being a mom, you never win, or parent. I'm sure
Yeah.
you're never gonna win the game, and so you just keep it coming.
But to frame it that way, that's a way to win. That's how I would explain it to my parents. I'd be like, it's the power struggle is over. I don't live with you. And now you could really knock it out of the park with a very simple, like, Peter, I never meant to ever scare you or make you uncomfortable. I do that. You ever make yourself cry doing an impression of your parents?
Is that your father?
That's my father, and it's a great impression.
Oh, your father. Now, what age are they at?
They're in their 8s.
Okay.
They're bad 8s.
Oh God. Are they having
I'm
some
joking.
hard? No.
I just mean sometimes you see an 80 that's like Jack LaLanne.
Oh God, yeah. Some
doing
people are
pull-ups.
really killing it.
They're not
My
really
dad-
pull-up 80s.
Yeah, my dad in
not
the
that bad,
end
though.
was. I keep trying to volunteer around town, and nobody will hire me because they said I will fall over.
Yeah.
I'm a liability.
Yeah. There's
Which is bullshit. Hire everybody. Everybody gets to be shit at everything. Like
let them be shit.
Yeah, let them fall over.
I know what
we
you
all
mean.
get to participate. Come on.
It's way better than falling alone.
Yeah,
It's true.
exactly.
You're going to be falling. You might as well fall at Ace Hardware.
And that's where we found him. He had fallen at home. He'd gotten COVID because he had been out and about with his girlfriend Mary, having a great time. But
That is so dad. I don't even know your dad, but of course he was out with Mary.
yeah, they were having a hoagies and
In line for hoagies. Peak Cove. Yeah.
he had some COVID, got some COVID, and then that took him out of the game. But I think the reason the COVID hit him so hard was because he had this late in life, and I don't know if this is a thing, but I've heard from other people, dementia anorexia, where it's like he got very Karen Carpenter in the past 2 years of his life of saying, oh, I'm not going to put on any weight. I'm not going to be. He got very fat phobic. Like, look at he pointed
That's where it pooled.
poked in my husband's stomach and said, "What? Okay, you put on a couple pounds. What's happening?" Like
That's
it
the
was
control fantasy.
yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah. It was really
Val and I
weird.
always say, where is your anxiety pooling?
Oh,
You know what I mean? It's like
yeah.
mercury. It's like little drops of mercury. And sometimes it just like the gravity goes and it all goes to like, am I at my ideal weight?
Yeah, dysmorphia or the
dysmorphia.
number. The number. Is
Yeah.
is it this number? Oh God.
People love a number. Well, in the sense that the unhealthy part of us likes obsessing, likes fixating. I was having a mild fixation today where I was trying to text the special thanks for my credits, for the credits of my new special. So I'm pasting it in the email.
Nice.
And it's sent. And then I was like, oh no, I forgot one name. I add it and then I paste it again. Yeah. And of course, in the email, it's now shrunk it to like an ellipses. You ever see where it like goes like, well, you sent this twice, so we're going to eliminate it. Yeah. And it's just the name I added. And I'm like, and then and I know because you're so open about, this is anxiety. What we're talking about is anxiety.
No, yeah.
As I write, sorry, my phone's being wonky. And then I text it to my friend, the full list. And I go, can you email this to the list? He does it, Maria. I open it. It's been truncated to 3 dots and 2 names.
Oh, no.
And I go and I start writing, hey, everybody, just so you know, the list isn't 2 names. And then I stop. And I go, this is anxiety. And then I delete it and I just let it be. And then 20 minutes later, I just go, just so you know, the full list is about 30 names. You just got to make sure. Like I wouldn't say I lost, but that's where my anxiety happened to be pooled. It wasn't even about that. It was just like, it's fucking crazy to be here. So your dad was pooling it on weight.
And what this broke my heart is when we went to his house when he was in the hospital, and the book he had open on his couch was The Mindful Way Through Depression by John Kabat-Zinn. Never be mindful during your depression. There's no reason. Knock yourself out with the flat end of a shovel, as my friend Jackie says. Like, there is no need. No.
You're saying when your mind has become an unsafe neighborhood, you don't want to follow your breath and just kind of walk around with no flashlight, right? Is that it?
I tried. I thought that was monstrous. When I went, I was in a outpatient treatment thing for a couple times, and they keep giving us this book, which is called David Burns. I believe it's called Change Your Mind, Change Your Life, or something like that. And it's all things where it's like cognitive behavioral switches, like I'm depressed, or what if I have the feelings that are depressed? Like,
Right.
like this is like, yeah, it doesn't matter. There's a razor in my head that's vibrating. Like I'm not taking in any of this nonsense.
It's funny when I quote that all the time. Ram Dass said that too, which is like, and I do it.
Yeah.
But I have to check my sort of mental health privilege, I suppose. And I'm not trying to be funny,
Yeah.
meaning it works for what I'm dealing with.
Yes.
I'm having like a down in the dumps day on my scale.
Sure.
And I go, you know, it helps me a little bit to go, there is depression. I see it. I'm not going to identify with it. But you're saying there's a level that's way past that.
You're on the knife's edge or whatever for years. And some people, going through having to do where you get ECT therapy or whatever, or people genuinely going through daily trauma, or people are unhoused. Like it's just like, fuck you.
Right.
Like
little mental games.
Yes,
don't work. And it's annoying when someone just goes like, maybe just And you're talking to someone who does. Again, I try to always say like, this is just kind of for like your everyday little whatevers. That helps me, but like, so you're talking to someone who does say that sometimes.
Yeah.
And yet, I'm very interested in what you're saying. This difference. There's another league.
There's another level, and I think I'm definitely I am definitely privileged. I have all the meds and all the healthcare, which is still I was like just like, don't be surprised if mental health care or any health care is shitty. It's not your fault. Don't take it personally. Everybody's struggling to maintain their, like you're just not going to get the greatest, even if you have a shit ton of money to throw at it. I once paid $3,000 for 3 days in a, it's called Las Encinas in, they told me I could. I stopped. I was there because I was like, "Oh, I'm suicidal, and I just need a place to get my meds checked out." And I thought my insurance covered it, but as soon as I was in, they said, "Oh yeah, no, it doesn't." And they'd already taken away my purse, but I said, "Well, you're going to have to get the purse out because they would only take cash," which I think is so funny. That one of the signs of mania is to spend irrational amounts of money on something that's useless. And
wow.
So it's not great. I went to a friend have a friend who's unhoused. We went through the
currently
unhoused. I've known a comedian for 30 years, and I think just the circumstances are it is very easy to lose your housing. And so we went to the Department of Social Services here in Los Angeles. It's this time it was about an hour and a half wait, which is pretty delightful, actually. I was surprised. Went through all the to the different dwarves on the way to the troll under the bridge, and who was a lovely man named Robert. Now, Robert
Trollman. Sorry.
Robert's job is so difficult, and he could barely make eye contact with us as he was telling this. He's like, "Yeah, there's no housing," and I was like, "Wow, I thought that was the case, but thanks for letting us know." And then
they mean like.
There's no.
What's the word for the housing? Like help housing. Like
there's no emergency housing.
Emergency
there's nothing.
Housing. Yeah,
there's nothing. So you're back on the street, and so all right, my friend lives in a car situation, and so all right, no. So then Robert said, "Well, there is something, but it's a pilot program." Oh my God! Okay, what is it? So it only. You have to sign up through another agency. It was another thing that involved about 30-mile drive through to Los Angeles, which is, as we all know, like asking someone to go to Singapore via Nairobi. What's going on? Is there a purpose to this? And then, so we found out what that was. He said, yeah, it provides $400 towards housing. All right, what housing will take this $400? He said, I don't know. Well, thanks, Robert. Wow. It's been a great afternoon.
Wow.
And that brutal. Kind of like, and I think that kind of trauma happening every single day, I just,
helplessness.
Mindfulness is not going to do the trick.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
To go, hey, you know, as you feel the 110-degree heat on your brow as you're waiting for something that will not be available, let's just breathe in through the nostrils and out through the mouth. Anyways, and I say that saying, you know, I have not done, you know, to help my friend beyond being there with her, and you know, I tried to do, you know, pay for hotels and stuff like that. But then it's like, yeah, there's no solution. There's no
Yeah.
solution beyond. So
Wow. You know, this is sort of a right turn. I appreciate all of that, and one of the topics that came up in your album, speaking of anxiety, speaking of difficulty, was Debtors Anonymous, which I didn't know anything about.
Oh my God, it's the greatest.
What is it?
Google any problem and you can find a solution. It could be an anonymous program, but it could be anything else. I got to tell you, Googling is so powerful.
You sound like Trump. So powerful. Google it. There's a million results. You type it in, 0.002 seconds later, you got so many results. Debt. You got a problem with debt. Maria Bamford struggles with that. One of the best.
One of the best.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
It's basically, and this is one person speaking about it, so I apologize to all my friends who get mad at me.
Well, wait, not even the program. Before you shit on the program, if you want to, which you're welcome to.
No.
What is the issue that the program is addressing? Debtors Anonymous.
Well, I think the idea is, I believe this program started in the 80s, which starts around the time that things become, credit cards become more of a marketed situation. So there's that. It's also something that happens. So
these are people that can't stop spending?
Yes.
Shopaholic is the...
Could be that, but
stupid.
it can be anything. So like AA, I don't know if you've known anybody who is in the Bill W program. Bill Wilson, we all know his last name.
Who books that?
Well, turns out it's hard to get up at some of those meetings in West Hollywood.
Hard to get stage time?
You'll have to Brad P. We have Brad P. for Sunday. So anyways, the great thing about 12-step programs, I love them. They're free. Number 2, free. Number 3, they cannot kick you out. That's one of their main rules. And also another great rule that they have is, and they're all individualized, so they're not all under one thing, but they're it's all run by peers. So nobody's in charge.
Yeah.
And that's also delightful, though terrifying. And my husband, I brought him to a meeting. He said, these people need professional help. Yes, they do. And yet none is forthcoming. And so here we are in this Zoom breakout room. But so it's great. It's also problematic. It was started in the 30s, so it's got pseudo-spiritual sort of Judeo-Christian language. It's a real turnoff for anybody who was raised in a religion.
Because that can re-traumatize you,
Oh,
for sure.
my God. But what I do, and I ignore all that, and I just take the stuff that makes sense to me, that I like.
What was, if you don't mind, what was the issue? Oh, go ahead.
Which is eye contact. I like eye contact.
Yes.
I like hearing other people's stories of people trying to do something different that's somewhat more healthy. Like I like harm reduction. Like, oh my God, I can't stop, whatever it is. I can't stop taking heroin.
Yeah.
Well, can you have a pizza along with that heroin?
Yeah.
Why don't you eat a whole pizza and then do the heroin? Like, let's just, it doesn't have to be perfect. So for me, I went because I just didn't know. I lived in Minneapolis. I was 20 until I was 24, and I just did not know how to have and keep a job. I just didn't. I moved to Los Angeles.
And what was the compulsive behavior that was tied to that?
I think just asking for money from my parents.
That
which was like, what? And they were like, yeah, no, we're done. And I think it is a product of living in a city or a society or an economic system that it doesn't provide social welfare. So I think that's part of the reason DA is a thing in the U.S., London, South Africa. You know, it's like it's only happens in certain major cities. It's interesting, that it's a big deal there.
And what did it look like when you weren't able to keep a job?
Well, I worked at I had a degree in English, and despite that, not that these aren't great jobs, but I would take a job where I was waitressing, which I was terrible at. I
bet you started strong.
No.
No, not even the first hello?
I do not give off the vibe that everything's going to be okay, which is what you want in a server.
Yeah, your tables had a lot of like chatter, like, I don't think it's coffee.
Yeah, no, and they were correct. So when I moved to Los Angeles, I could not keep a waitering job because people are at a professional level here. Nobody's having it. Nobody's like, no, it's okay if I didn't get my side of kale with a lemon on this, but a full lemon. And you know what to charge me for a whole lemon. That's on the menu, and a whole lemon.
Like you belonged in like a quaint, like a small town.
Minneapolis.
Yeah, exactly.
Where people are sucking it up. People are like,
well, this is a theme.
well, it's cold, but she's trying.
Your dad should be allowed to suck and fall. These groups should be able to run themselves, even if there are things that suck. Like we're like a suckless society.
Yeah.
And it's not really working because we don't have room for the broken or
broken.
the learning.
And I love broken. I love an open mic night. I'm going to one tonight, 9 p.m. Not to say the people at open mic nights are
no,
broken.
I'll say that.
But
as one who went, and as one who would go, yes, there's a
they're
brokenness.
great. They're so great.
Well, you're drawn to humanity?
Well, yeah, I love to see something I've never seen before. Like, oh my God, someone's nude and crying. Where are we going with this? There's only 3 minutes left. I can't wait to see how this ends up. Yeah.
You'd rather that than like slick or Colgate or polish,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, there's
That's
no
false.
need. Like, I mean, I love something well crafted. I really appreciate, and I love comedy. But I also, I appreciate someone trying, like trying. I want to see. I don't want to see someone yawning on stage saying, "What else am I going to talk about?" Fuck you! I want this to be the
Figure it out.
best, like something you've thought about all day long.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I'm swearing so much. Yeah, it's so energizing and exciting.
How much goddamn swearing is happening.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. I really relate to what you're saying. Yeah. And it's the same with conversation and stuff. That's why I was like, I feel like you'll enjoy this podcast.
Yeah.
It's like, let's get into it. Let's find that thing that's that.
Well, and I think that 12, especially Debtors Anonymous, I just had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
I couldn't make my rent. I was renting from this place that the landlord accepted sex for rent, according to the teenage runaways who were next door to me.
Oh, no.
And I was like, hey, now, I also had like $5,000 in medical debt because I got an STD, and I went to, I let it get so bad that I went to Planned Parenthood, which was in Hollywood, and my STD was so bad that they said, why did you let it get this far? And I was like,
why did you let it win,
yeah.
Maria?
And I was like, wow. I mean, you have to let it get bad.
Yeah, for
Hollywood,
a trained professional is like, yikes.
Yeah, like, whoo.
And you're the 12th person I've seen today with this.
Yeah,
Just not so unabated.
But yeah, so
Did you even think I don't want this? This looks like you were encouraging it mentally.
Did you put some plantings up there? What's going on?
Is that fertilizer?
Is that fertilizer? But yeah, so I had been in another 12-step program. I'd been in Overeaters Anonymous for about 5 years at the time because I had been bulimic. What? A white woman? I've lost interest in my own narrative. Sorry.
Does that tie to your dad?
Possibly.
he might be?
I think my dad might have been the source, but I think he put it through my mom because my mom was the only one who ever got freaked out about diets and food. My dad never said anything, but I realized she may have been parroting some stuff that he was saying, but without saying it was from him because my dad never said anything about it to us. But as soon as she died, I was like, oh my God, it's been coming from this guy the whole time.
Oh, wow. Wow.
So, yeah, very weird. But
sorry, you were saying you went to Overeaters.
yeah, so I was like, okay. I had a sponsor who said, yeah, you're not making enough money to live on because I worked at a bakery loading trucks at night in LA because that's the job I could had the confidence and that's a great job. But the guys around me who are all Spanish speaking, who are like this, they all call me onion face, cara de cebolla, and one guy
Wait,
who was
why
really
onion face? Were you always crying?
because I got a big white round face.
There are red onions. Maybe after a few weeks in the sun, they'll call
Big
you
one.
red onion face.
Big white round face.
Onion face.
Onion
That's your
face.
rap name.
And yeah, that's so true. Oh my God, that's so good. Those guys were like, "What? What are you doing?" Like they were questioning my life choices. The guys were like, "Why are you here loading trucks? You speak English. What are you doing?" And so I went to.
What is the answer there?
Well,
Only because there is, I'm noticing my own privileged bias. You have two parents, Minnesota.
two parents in
You moved to
Minnesota.
LA.
Yeah, and
There wasn't like a cushion or.
no.
Yeah.
I just thought this is a great idea. I'm going to move.
And then you couldn't wait tables because that wasn't working.
Yeah, it
So
just
you-
wasn't
you
working.
sort of.
And I was too, so I thought, I also like solitary positions. So loading trucks was great. I do like physical work. So I was like, this is awesome. But then it wasn't making enough money. It doesn't pay enough to live on, as we all have read in The Economist. And so, and everyone knows who has those jobs. So I had the job. So then I went to Debtors Anonymous, and what it is, just like any group of people, if you farm out an idea to 5 people at a diner or wherever you go, they'll go, "What are you doing?" And then 5 people have ideas, and so they were like, "Well, wait, so what other skills do you have?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I can type, and I can, I have an English degree." And they're like, "Sign up at 10 temp agencies." I did that. I called them I became willing as a part of people's support, said, call every single day, tell them you're available for work for temp agency. And I was like, but I don't know how to answer phones. They're like, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
I did genuinely need that human support of like, I don't know how to do something. And I still do. That's why I really like places like that. I don't know. I mean, I did a book deal. I did not read the contract. I still don't know how to live life properly. And I think that's where I get myself in trouble is like going, oh, somehow I should be prideful and I should know how to do this. And that's where I get myself in a pickle because I think you don't necessarily have to go to a professional to slow yourself down and go, hey, I'm thinking of signing this book deal. Should I read it? Yeah, Maria, why don't you read it out loud? Let's have a juice box. Read it out loud and see what you're signing yourself up for instead of just going, what? This is awesome. Then what I ended up doing is I gave my whole advance to an editor because I was so frightened. I was so frightened that I didn't know how to write a book. So I gave the whole advance, which, fine, it's okay. He was lovely. But
Wait,
also,
you gave the advance back?
No, I gave the advance to an editor, an outside editor, to help me write the book because I was so afraid that I couldn't write a book or that I wouldn't do a good job, which is all about fear, terror.
Where did you, Craigslist?
No. I found a guy who's
I'll happily take your advance.
this guy who did
was a good guy.
Yeah, great guy. No, and deserved every penny. I'm a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
So it was great, but had I slowed it down, I might have said, hey, Maria, why don't you pay half of the advance to him, pay half to yourself so you don't have to be touring the whole time. Also, if I had read the contract, I would have known more specifically when I'm done with the book, I don't get to decide that. The publisher decides whether they think it's done or not. So if they don't think it's done, I need to pay that money back if they reject it, which in a sense, I may have taught myself a lesson, but that I owe somebody $50,000 to find out that I didn't want to write a book. You know what I'm saying? Like it is a debt on some level.
Because you could have lost the advance and then owed the advance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So had I slowed that down, that's not what happened. It's worked out fine, but I really love the idea of it. I don't always do it, obviously. I didn't do it in this, but is to crowdsource other ideas.
Well, what I'm loving about what you're saying is there's something beautiful about and I'm using the word broken and including myself in that. Broken people. There's this quote that keeps coming to mind. If we despise our own brokenness, we tend to despise the broken. And I think we see that a lot. And people discard people. And if I were making a little short film about some of these stories you've been telling, is how you keep going to imperfect places and getting help.
Oh my God.
And isn't that beautiful?
Well, yeah, I have a Kickstarter that I did because I wanted to do this thing about OCD that's, it's not a topic for everybody. A web series.
I watched it.
Oh, yeah, it's just two.
It's incredible.
Two little.
It's so well done.
Thank you.
And it's called Oh No.
No CD.
Oh, sorry.
No
I
CD.
blew it, Maria. I'm
No,
embarrassed.
don't be embarrassed.
Okay,
Oh my God.
yeah. I just didn't want. It's so good.
And I slowed it down because I was like, I started to get this manic, like, I'm going to do 17 episodes in 1 month and I'm going to send everyone champagne. And then I had a meeting with two people in my debtors.
Everyone gets champagne.
You know, when you just like have these like crazy ideas.
I don't have bipolar, but I get manic as well. And
Yeah.
I just have to go, no promises today.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to give everyone everything.
Yeah, just let it go.
Let it go. Let it go is a good one.
I talked to two people in my Debtors Anonymous group. One guy is a meditation teacher. The other person builds furniture. And I said to these guys, we had French fries. I bought the French fries at this place called Everest Burger in my neighborhood, where only the French fries are very good.
Just kidding. Edit that out.
No, Everest Burger on Lake Avenue.
Edit
Go,
it out.
Altadena.
Edit it out.
Anyways, great. And they were like, hey, can you do 17 episodes more? And I was like, no. And they're like, how many do you think you can do? And I was like, maybe 3. And they're like, well, what if it was the best of all possible worlds? So I ended up doing a Kickstarter, which is under the auspices of slow business. I do only 3 episodes over an undisclosed amount of time. I paid everyone, including myself, union level wages, so for their time, and and also there's no and also no rewards. Everyone, no matter how much you got democratic rewards back, which is built-in disappointment with me. You get to the feeling of like, oh, I was really let down by Marie Bamford. That's yours.
That's free.
That's yours to keep.
You mean ad revenue?
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about, splitting ad revenue?
No,
What
nothing.
are we talking about?
Just Kickstarter. It was a Kickstarter. So it was
But what are you saying, democratic rewards? What are the rewards that you're being democratic
Kickstarter,
with?
usually you have to give, like, people will go like, oh, you gave $1, I'll send you a sticker.
Yeah.
Oh, you gave $100,
Yeah, I see.
I'll have dinner with you
Oh, you
in
mean
Malibu.
the donators got rewards. I see.
Oh, you give $10,000. Oh, I'll make out with you in a public place.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. And so I said,
20, it's private.
yeah, 20 private. This I said, everyone gets the same amount no matter how much you give. And then that also made it, I didn't have to be worried about all these rewards that I'd owe people.
Yeah.
And raised plenty of money to do these 3 episodes. And it was such a much more joyful way of doing it.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
And
Also,
you're very democratic in your style, these groups and these people in your life. It fits you.
yeah, well, but I wouldn't have done that had I not met with 2 other people who know nothing about show business,
fries.
who are just going like, that kind of sounds kind of stressful. Why don't you do something less? Why don't you do less than what you're thinking?
Yeah. That's right. It doesn't have to be a trained professional or someone in your field to recognize a human overextension. Yeah, it's very normal.
Yeah.
We all do it.
And I think that stuff, I don't like that stuff about where it's like, do you have a business coach? It's like, do you just have someone you could talk, the barista at Starbucks, so you could go, hey, what do you think about what I'm doing? I'm thinking of making these cups that at my home. Okay, I'm making cups. Okay,
I'm kilning cups.
I'm kilning cups in my stove. I'm charging $100 for them. Like,
Yeah.
just crowdsource it. Like,
Yeah.
also with mental health stuff, like, because if you have Kaiser Permanente, you're going to see, even if you've had a terrible trauma, you've been almost murdered and raped and fully raped. And I hate, sorry, that's a trigger warning that I said that. I'm sorry. But they will only see you once every 6 weeks. Like, there's no, it's such gaslighting by mental health things where they go, hey, you, ask for help. All these little memes. It's like,
Right.
from fucking where? Where?
Yeah.
Or you ask for help and it's not the greatest. And I'm not saying that you won't find wonderful therapists and stuff like that. I just don't want people to feel like an idiot when because I felt like,
No,
there
you're
was
offering
something wrong
solidarity.
with me.
It wasn't easy.
That
yeah.
it isn't the greatest.
Can I ask you about the series? And boy, I hope this isn't an annoying question, but it looks like it might help. It helps me.
Oh, good.
When I watch your video, it made me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Oh, good.
Because
yes.
we all know what it's like. Look, I'm not trying to trauma compare or mental illness compare. I'm just saying you might think those videos are like, this is so weird. And I'm watching it going like, yeah, I know what it's like when your mind takes over and you get away from yourself. So it soothed me. Does it soothe you in making it?
Yes. Well, and I know that now OCD, and go to the ILCDF Foundation, International OCD Foundation. They have a lot of free resources, groups, all sorts of wonderful things online. Free, everything's free. But there's a lot more information out there about intrusive thoughts, about very taboo subjects. And so whatever you think is taboo in your culture, that's where OCD is going to get you.
Yeah.
So things like pedophilia, people have fear. That's a very common thing for people to have a fear that they're pedophiles or something, even though they desperately don't want to.
Yeah, that's what I think is unique and interesting about some of your phobias is like you're afraid you might hurt somebody.
Yes.
It's actually... It's sort of weird to say that a phobia could be lovely, but at least it's sort of like earnest and sweet.
Well, and it's something out of maybe religious traditions of people who pray without ceasing. A lot of those saints were dealing with unwanted thoughts, like saying, oh my God, I'm having this thought again. Oh, I can pray. I'll pray. I pray. Keep praying. Make it go away. A lot of people have religious obsessions, fear that they've thought of something sacrilegious. That's very common.
Like blaspheming the Holy Spirit, yeah.
Women with postpartum depression and
Well,
parents.
I've known women that had babies that their fear was hurting the baby.
Hurt the baby, yeah.
And I've had this is weird, but to relate, I've had the fear, I don't know if it changes it that I was stoned, but I was stoned and I was like, oh my God, I'm the biggest threat to me. Yeah. Like I'm the one that like keeps doing like driving and flying and eating fatty stuff. Like it's me. It was like there was this other thing going like, you're the threat. And I was like, you're right. And I was like, but it sucks. I'm in charge. And it was like, I know. Like it was a real weird conversation. So I relate to the call is coming from inside the house.
Right.
Or it's you.
Right. Yeah, no, well, that's a common one, fear that you're going to kill yourself yeah, so it is much. I think there's a lot of more information on TikTok and Instagram and stuff that you can look up about these issues.
Not to be funny, but TikTok looks like unwanted thought syndrome to me.
Sometimes, yeah.
Like it's just like the hyper cut ones and it's like Japanese energy drink ads.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what is this? Like whenever I see someone on TikTok, I have a real hard time not being like, yikes, or whoever they're following. I don't know if it's the whole platform, but a lot of it seems like it's hypnotizing you or something.
Yeah. And there's I know that, but I know that there are some positive things that are coming out of it, that people are getting education. So that's
for sure.
Great.
For sure.
And I know that I had some experiences when I told somebody about my intrusive thoughts of I don't know if you've ever told a therapist and then paid them $75 to call the cops. 'Cause
They called the cops on you?
yeah, and the cops didn't come because we're in Los Angeles. And, but.
You told them you were having some sort of violent
Intrusive thoughts,
fantasy.
yeah,
or-
and which is different. It's not a fantasy. I mean, also, I want to say that anybody who's having fantasies of hurting someone or molesting or whatever like that deserves just as much fucking help as anything else. Please, let's have people talk about this. I wish that one of the saddest. I mean, not only the actual assaults themselves, but like I wish some of the comedians, the unregistered sex offenders out there would address what's going on in their minds about this material. Like, talk
stigma
about
is
it
making it worse.
in your act. Like, what is happening? Like, this is the perfect opportunity,
Oh,
especially
you
if
mean
you
as opposed to acting like nothing happened?
acting like nothing happened and or saying, oh, I went through sex addiction, now I'm okay. Well, fucking talk about it. Like, people are having this problem, and like that's all what that comedy is for.
Yeah, it's like it's a bad thing, and that's all we want to know.
Yeah.
It's just a bad behavior. We don't want to talk about like the steps that led there, the shame that led there, the internal isolation that only encouraged it and then spiraled.
Sexual assault is happening on the regs. Domestic violence, pedophilia, all the child pornography. Like, if you're caught doing it, would you please do us the favor of talking about it? Like, in saying what's and that comes from recovery or something like.
We don't want to talk about any of our shadow.
Yeah,
it's not. You just mentioned the heavy hitters.
Yeah.
We really, as a society, don't want to. It's good and bad, and we don't. One of our coping strategies as a people is like don't even look at it.
Well, like if the. I mean, I don't know, and that's one thing I do love about 12-step programs is I do love the living amends of like. If you've done some shitty things, number one, stop bugging the people. Don't bother the people that you hurt anymore. Don't make direct amends to them.
Yeah.
Be a better person. Make amends and I say this to myself as well because I'm not the greatest, and I'm sure. I continue to make mistakes. I know my current album has the first joke about it where somebody said that when I say I'm identifying as a little man because I'd like to get paid better. And somebody said, hey, that joke is transphobic. And which I totally see what they're saying. But I'm an old lady. I did not see it at the time and I need to apologize, and all I can do is change the joke. Like now change the joke and say, the material's out there. Change the joke and shut up,
That's interesting. Yeah, I understand. It's just it's a tricky subject.
Well, and I don't have.
I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. I want to respect everything, and I understand.
Well, and I don't have a dog in the fight, so why am I using that as a punchline?
Yeah.
Why am I using? I mean, if I'm going to say, I would like to. The joke is, I don't want to be a part of any group. I'm a woman, but if I'm going to be paid less than Greg? Yeah, no, then I am not. I'm not a woman. I am now a man. I'm a little man. I'm a little man. I'm a rich little man. Which that's better than identify as
I see.
Which I think.
Oh, you just sort of fixed it.
Yeah, fixed it.
I understand.
Yeah, well, I think I fixed it. Let me know.
I don't think you have to worry about that.
Instagram me,
You'll
DM.
get...
I'll read all my DMs, especially the ones that are mad.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, sure. Because I would like to learn. I would definitely. I find it good to learn. Jesus Christ! If anyone takes time out of their day to tell me, "Hey, this bothered me, and here's why," like, thank you. Some things I don't necessarily like. I don't agree with. Somebody got mad at me about talking about 12-step groups in any critical way, and I disagree with that. Like, I think I have over 30 years of experience in it. I've had very negative experiences in 12-step programs. Along with it, I do feel it saved me, saved my life. But the guy totally texted me or tweeted at me and said, hey, you shouldn't make jokes about 12-step programs. It saved my life. You bum me out.
Oh, and
I
you
hate
disagreed.
And I said, yeah, I disagreed.
Yeah.
Or I say, I totally see how that would hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
I'm very sorry. And I am sorry that because I understand how that would feel very hurtful.
Yeah.
At the same time, I get to have my own experience.
Yeah.
I get to, because I've also, I get to have my own experience.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I have that with my family. My sister, has told me numerous times not to do impersonations of her. And yet, I've said, I love you so much. And also, she says some pretty hilarious things. She's also written about me in her books. So I go, well, I hear you. I hear that pain and acknowledge it and say, I think,
She's a shaman and a life coach. Is
yeah,
that right?
yeah. And that stuff,
I mean, you couldn't have asked for if I listened to your comedy and I was like, it would be great if she had a sister who was a shaman and a life coach. Like if I didn't know that, I would be like, that would be perfect.
And I want to acknowledge that's very vulnerable to be publicly to say, she's also blonde, blue-eyed shaman.
Right.
Wow, she's taken a hit from all sides in terms of she's very sincere, which is not my gift. I do not. I just want to say I'm kind of on the fence about everything. Really, Maria? But so she's she's vulnerable. So, but I let me see. My current joke about her was she wrote me an affirmation. Maria, okay, this one's for your job. How is it my fault they hired me? So
that's something to remember, like when you're on set or something.
Yeah. How is it my fault they hired me? It's not my. I had nothing to do with this debacle.
Oh my God, what a weird one.
Which she's super. My sister's very funny, and she's super extroverted too. Which is why I must compete with her to our dying day.
This episode is brought to us by our friends at Magic Mind. You're always hearing me offering Magic Mind to the guests. Why? Because I drink it every single episode, and when my guests drink it, I feel like we have a better conversation because it lights up our brains, gives you about as much caffeine as half of a cup of coffee, but also gives you adaptogens. It has like lion's mane mushroom, incredibly, very meticulously formulated formula. I like that. So it calms you down a little bit. It's great when you take it with your coffee, but it also has nootropics that help you think, focus, and concentrate, and it just rounds out the caffeine experience. I find it wonderful. I personally take it with coffee. A lot of people take it instead of coffee. It's sweetened with agave. It's not going to spike your blood sugar. It's not like a sugary energy drink. It's very natural. It's matcha. It's wonderful. It's like Creatorade. Athletes have Gatorade. Magic Mind is Creatorade with a mix of 12 functional ingredients. It doesn't get you wired. It doesn't get you jittery. It gets you dialed in, helping you slip into that flow state for about 5 to 7 hours, getting about 30% more productivity, more things done after you drink it, fighting off procrastination, fighting off brain fog and fatigue and some ADD symptoms, getting you into that sweet spot to get work done. If I'm going to write, if I'm going to do stand-up, if I'm going to answer emails, and they have a money-back guarantee, so any first purchase will be refunded. No questions asked if it doesn't meet your the weirdos' expectations. That's you guys. I have never introduced a friend to it and not had them love it and be blown away. So we have a special offer for weirdos and our friends at Magic Mind. All you have to do is go to www.magicmind.co/weird and use my discount code at checkout WEIRD to get a 20% off your first order. That's magicmind.co/weird and use discount code WEIRD. Support your noodle. Support the show. It means a lot. We're also brought to us by BLUELAND. I'm jumping right into the fun fact. Did you know we're eating and drinking roughly a credit card's worth of plastic a week? When I first heard that, I was like, maybe in a year. A week. That's right. The products that we're using every day are ultimately contaminating our water supply, generating hundreds of microplastics that we end up, barf, ingesting. Luckily, our friends at BLUELAND have set out to do something about it to eliminate the need for single-use plastic in the products we reach for the most, like hand soap. Did you know there is an estimated 5 billion plastic hand soap and cleaning bottles thrown away each year? 5 billion. And if that's not bad enough, most cleaning formulas are 90% water, which is heavy to ship, which leads to excessive carbon emissions. It's a total waste. Not to mention the nasty ingredients in them, like chlorine and ammonia. But BLUELAND is reinventing cleaning essentials to be better for you and the planet by offering endlessly refillable cleaning products with a beautiful, cohesive design that I love. It looks great on your counter, and I like that everything matches. Just fill the bottles with water, drop in the tablets, and wait for them to dissolve. Hand soap, toilet bowl cleaner, laundry tablets, all with clean ingredients you can feel good about, and no more bulky cleaning supplies on your grocery run. Best of all, refills start at just $2.25. I recommend their Clean Essentials Kit, which has everything you need to get started and comes in beautiful light scents such as iris agave, fresh lemon, and eucalyptus mint. And BLUELAND has an offer just for weirdos. Get 15% off your first purchase of any product and get cleaning products that I love the look of and love that they're good for you and they're good for the planet. To get 15% off your first order, go to blueland.com/YMIW, like you made it weird. You won't want to miss this, blueland.com/YMIW. That's blueland.com/YMIW. All right, guys, let's get back to it.
My sister's very funny, and she's super extroverted too, which is why I must compete with her to our dying day.
Let me ask you, going back, only because I'm fascinated. It's not just a stock question. You moved to LA. Where was that first impulse as a child that you were like, showbiz? I can see, obviously, you're made of talent and expression is natural to you. But when you were a little kid, like how old were you when you were like, that's for me? And then I'd love to hear all of the origin.
I love attention. I think John Mulaney said it at the end of his current special, Baby J. He said, now I'm fine. I don't need drugs or alcohol or whatever, but all I need is all the attention. And I could relate with that. I was 3. I started playing the violin as a kid, and then Suzuki method, and that felt great getting up on stage. I didn't really enjoy playing the violin, but I loved the feeling of being watched by a group and then being applauded, which is all that happens when you're 3 years old and you play a musical instrument. Nobody's booing at that point.
Yeah.
It's when you get in your 11s and 12s where they start going, ooh, come on. You've been at this for 9 years now, kid.
You got a fresh, come on. Come on.
Your mother and father are putting lots of money into this.
But that's very young. Did it come from some sort of deficit or a lack, or was it just kind of a natural, pure?
I liked it, but my mom and my sister were very talkative. So they were chatty Cathys. Also, they're likable people. My sister and my mother were they're likable personalities. Whereas I was a bit of a glum Gus, a bit of a sour apple, a bit of a weeping. There's a picture of me at the beach where I'm like, which is not unlike a face that I just made a few days ago. My husband asked me.
Is this your face journal?
Yeah. My husband asked, hey, did the dogs poop when you took them a walk? And I said, poops a billion! Sort of like in a rage, like,
Poops a billion?
Who's afraid of a Virginia wolf? Like, what?
Yes.
Why am I in so angry?
So you didn't like the beach. I'm understanding this, and it seems like you're observing reality. Like your bit about lying. You're like, this is crazy. Like people say don't lie unless it's socially convenient.
Yeah.
And like if it's a crowd pleaser.
Unless it's a philosophy that you're supposedly basing your entire life on.
Right, exactly. No, religion is a strange place. I remember thinking that as a kid, being like,
just spit it out.
I don't think my dad really believes that. You know what I mean? Or like, I don't think most of these people really believe. So that's a weird cognitive dissonance. So a lot of your comedy seems to like, we had this line I have this line that I say that art is highly sensitive people reporting back to the group what reality feels like to them.
Yeah.
And that seems like a lot of what you're doing is observing, quiet girl at the beach, you don't like it, and then it's bubbling up, and then it wants to come out. Is that correct?
Yeah, and getting attention. I think that if I definitely started doing voices when I was like probably 4 or 5, like would watch TV and try to do different voices because my own voice was like a high whine. I think some would argue it still is.
Some scholars.
Some scholars. Bill Burr. Why do I keep...
Does Bill Burr say that?
I don't know. I assume he would.
Dr. Burr? No, she's got an annoying voice. Jeez, yeah. I don't like it.
Oh, I'm so glad you can do. I love him so much,
too.
and I wish to Christ that he would like my material. But I don't know him very well. But
He's got to.
No, I don't think so because
Who watches
he's
it?
a killer.
Yeah.
He's like. Did you see his
Yeah,
beautiful
but bears
set?
are friends with bunnies sometimes.
Are they? Not during when it's
Hunt, maybe?
but
Yeah.
on the hunt. Did you see his beautiful set when in Philadelphia where he
turns on the crowd?
He turns on the crowd. Oh.
Yeah. You loved it?
I watch that every once in a while.
Yeah.
Just to get that feeling of like, yeah, you fucking do your material. Those assholes.
Yes.
Which is the machismo of comedy. I did always like that because my dad needed a son. So that was part of, I always liked, I think, or have some pride about being like, I don't fucking need anything. I don't need anything. And also being around guys and handling myself. I thought I was very prideful about that. Like,
When did stand-up
cares?
show up? When did that, your first time?
like 18, I was in
18,
college. Yeah, I was in college. They had a talent night, and I
Did you write a
stand-up.
little routine?
Yes, I wrote a little routine.
You wrote it up.
Yes.
Did you rehearse it?
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah.
Of
In
course
the
I
mirror?
did.
In the shower?
In the mirror, I think I had lots
I like
of
to rehearse in the
roommates.
shower. That wasn't a lurid question.
No,
I was
no,
just
no,
like,
no.
because you're relaxed. You feel relaxed in the hot water.
I would do things. I think I did it while walking because I
That's
don't think
good.
I had any private time. I had lots of roommates at the time. So, and I used props. I think for the first 3 years of doing stand up, I did a lot of props, and I had my violin. In probably the first 5 years, and then I moved to Los Angeles, and there were 2 other women playing the violin in their acts, and I said to myself, "This is my chance to dodge this violin."
Wow.
nobody
You're watching
needs it.
another violin act and being like, is that what I look like?
Well, no, and she was good. Like
Oh,
I
they
was
were
just
good.
like, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Time to
think-
slowly back away.
Yeah, back away from the nonsense. And yeah, because I think I only use the violin as something like a people pleasing thing of like, oh, well, she's good at that.
Right.
Like,
What was the style of your first time going on stage? Was it voices and
oh,
such?
the same exact stuff I do now. Exactly.
Really?
Exactly the same.
Okay. All right. Was it well received?
I must have felt it was
Yeah.
because I kept doing it.
Yeah.
And I keep doing it.
Well, that's the thing. The first thing I wrote down on this I haven't looked at it once, but reluctant comedian. One of the things I love about you is there's a certain, and I feel this too, misfittedness, meaning if you like being given attention and you like being funny and you like writing jokes and you even like other stand-up comedy specials, the path to doing stand-up is and remains millions of things that are deeply unpleasant and not necessarily right for the gentle creative spirit.
This person, yeah.
Wouldn't you say? Like, you reference it all the time, like having to luncheon gigs or like some casino gig where you're bombing and
Well, I try to avoid those gigs at all costs. I am now refusing to do one more benefit. There's no reason.
Yeah.
I'm hurting people.
Yeah.
At this point, the person who hires me is a fan. They have schizophrenia. We are, eye to eyeball. I see you. The people they're trying to get money from are Napa Valley winos. The person who brings me up is going to be wonderful. It's going to be Yamanika Saunders. She's going to say, before bringing up, is everybody ready to have a good time? I am not a good time. I am an assignment from a therapist. I am someone comedians pop in to say, huh. And I am someone who can fill a Portland on a Tuesday night.
I am not a good time. It's such a fun thing to know about yourself.
No.
You're not a big, soft-bellied man with a beard that's going to talk about nachos at the ballpark versus nachos at Buffalo Wild Wings.
What Yamanika would have been great had she just been able to bring up the headliner, Howie Mandel. Everybody wants to see Howie Mandel, and that was the proper act.
This was a three-person show.
It was a three-person show. I bombed so hard, and I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to do that to myself or do that to other people.
When you're bombing, are you locked in? Because one of the things, you're not a real... You are addressing the crowd and how it's going a little bit, but you also are trying to get on an inner momentum and you're inviting them along. Is that correct?
Yeah, for me, it's a theatrical event. So I'm just doing a show at people. Like
That's sort of what I'm
sometimes
saying,
connect a little bit. Like this show was going so poorly. I mean, there's no noise. And so at one point, even, I believe it was 15 minutes in, I had a 30-minute set. People started clapping in a way to suggest they either thought I was done or hoped I was done. Either which, uncomfortable.
There was a spattering of clapping to wrap you up. They were giving you the light.
Yeah. And I said, I get it. I'm disappointed as well. I thought this was going to be fun. Unfortunately, I got 15 minutes left.
Wow.
And I'm
Is it paid
contracted.
gig?
Yeah. Paid. And that's even sadder when I'm taking money from schizophrenia research. Wow, that's terrible.
Right.
That's a bad look. While making people suffer who just came to have a good time. Anyways, no to
We're saying the
benefits.
same thing, right? So you're a centrifuge and you're going into your one-person theatrical moment. And if a few blessed souls, let's say they don't know who you are, but a few people hook into you and they start getting it, then that spreads. Now you're murdering. You know what I mean? That's a good Maria Bamford show. A bad one is like nobody can penetrate the little Tasmanian devil tornado, and then you're alone, they're alone, everyone's suffering.
Everyone's alone.
Yeah.
And I mean, as Yamanika said, everybody wants to have a good time, including me. And so I was on a train, a quiet car with my husband in Pennsylvania, out of Philadelphia. A man was playing The Price is Right at full volume. And my husband said, hey, man, could you turn that down? This is the quiet car. And this man yelled, I'm just trying to enjoy myself. And I say that to myself now all the time. I'm just trying to enjoy myself.
That's what you took from it. Not Christ, what an asshole, but and that's a mantra that I've stolen from this unstable, gruff man.
Well,
the quiet car is like dry clean only. It's like you got to honor that.
But what if that's the perfect time in that man's day? Like, this is the only time he gets quiet.
Something. It's not. The Price is Right can't be. Can I tell you I spun the wheel one time?
Did you?
And I got $1. Not on the show, backstage.
Okay, was it as hard as it
thrill.
looks?
I'm going to tell you something. Yeah.
It's heavy, right?
It's very heavy. And I did a little, because I'm 6'6", so it's easier for me. I went up a little and then one spin, $1. Probably one of the biggest surges of like joy that I've ever felt in my life. And it was backstage. It wasn't even on the show. Yeah. It was just hanging out.
But that makes sense because it's a childhood thing too.
It's a childhood thing. It's as close as I'll come to hitting a home run or something like that. It's a home run for people who can kind of exert downward force. Yes, that's all I needed to do. So let me ask you this. Bombing sucks, but when you killed, are you I had a phone call today and I was talking about how uncomfortable I get when I don't perform and how the world becomes more and more overwhelming. Even this is a little bit of a performance. It's enough to kind of stabilize
I love being
me.
amplified. I assume this
And
is my
timed.
volume up. Yeah.
And timed.
And
I
timed.
noticed.
I do that.
I'm with you. The thing that people might think would make us anxious is actually quite calming. Like, I like that we're being
Yes,
filmed. I
no.
like that we're being recorded.
Yes, it's safe.
I'm with you. So when you do really well, which you do, don't you stop it, you whole lemon. Do you feel, where do you put that feeling on the spinning The Price is Right?
Oh,
Is it
it feels lovely, but also I think and also I think with the acting as if I don't want to do well in comedy or I don't
Yeah.
whatever, that I think that's
When I said reluctant.
or reluctant.
I just meant honest, like vulnerable. You're not going in going like, "What's up, fuckers?" You're like, I hope this chemistry set.
I hope it works. I hope it goes well.
Yeah.
But also, I know I'll get mad at people. I get, but I
You
guess.
do?
Oh yes.
You turn on them?
Yes.
I've never known
I
this.
have. It's uncomfortable. It's not good.
Well, that's why I
feel
won't
good.
watch Bill Burr's Philly set because I need to watch things that like calm me down and remind me to be gentle. Because believe it or not, I'm pretty close to turning on the crowd myself.
No, I get very aggro. What I've been trying to do, I took a peer specialist training for mental health. Anyways, I have to pass the test. So, but the point is, it's about managing. I'm trying to use that with the crowd, like just like.
What does that mean?
In
What are
terms
those
of like
techniques?
seeing. Where are people at? Like if somebody's heckling or somebody's visibly not enjoying themselves, how
up?
did we get here?
Yeah.
I know why I'm here, but there must be kind of an interesting story on your voyage to the front row where you're texting thousands of people, you're visibly bored.
Yeah.
But you somehow feel like you can't leave.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of fascinating about your personality or
I hear that.
or and sometimes it can be like I don't know.
It's empathy. You're wondering, what is it like to be you?
Yeah.
And that's what this is going to sound crazy, but my wife is always telling me, Pete, it's exhausting watching you do comedy for an hour, not in a bad way. Yeah. But when I get a little mad that at 50 minutes they're starting to get tired, like just that.
Oh God, yeah, no.
Even if you're not murdering, just listening to someone for 50 minutes
exhausting.
and I'm like, where were you on that one? And it's like, fuck it. So it's helpful to have a partner on the outside.
Yeah, to say, yeah. Well, that's my husband will have a reality check with me. Like, I think they gave you a standing ovation, Maria. And I'm like, yeah, but I don't. I always feel like people
There
do
was a delay.
Well, I always feel like they do a standing ovation because they're hoping I won't kill myself. That's what I think.
Oh,
That's
wow.
my reason for it happening. But, which may be true. It's okay. I appreciate it.
You'll take it
I'll
however
take
you
it
can
however
get.
I can get it. But my dad was always, he would always be sort of like put down things. Like you don't have, you can't show the vulnerability of wanting to win, of wanting to do well. So like when we played board games as a kid, it'd be like, well, I mean, who even cares what the rules are? I mean, if you really care, I guess that's up to you.
Can I just say, I don't know why, but that bothered me.
Oh, no, it's awful.
Yeah, it's
It's
No, I
awful.
knew you meant it was awful, but I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, it's
'Cause
bad.
especially as someone like you that is craving authenticity and humanity and vulnerability. Three things that I also am really drawn to. The false, I was just to relate, don't forget where we are. I was watching Alone. It's a show where
I've
you
watched
love Alone.
all seasons.
I love Alone. It's a metaphor for everything.
Everything. Yes.
Since I've watched Alone, I'm like, oh my God, I have a metaphor for everything. This is like this. This is like how some people do it this way and some people do it this way. Well, do you remember Kaylin? Doesn't matter. Season 7.
Okay.
She was great. I'm not criticizing.
The blonde or the
She was a brunette.
brunette, and she was sensitive. She got bit by a squirrel.
I think no. There was a woman in season 7 who continually. I think that was season 6 who kept getting bitten and cut.
Okay.
That woman. That was like an SNL sketch.
Yeah.
They kept cutting back to her, and she has an axe in her head, and she's like, I don't know how this happened. She wounded herself so much. It doesn't matter who Kaylin was. She just couldn't even say that she wanted to win for women. And I was screaming at the TV saying, it's okay to want to win for women. Yeah. But she was like, I want to win for women. Not that women are different from men, but because they're not different from men. But they are. But I just want a woman to win. Not that, and I was just going like, it's okay. It would be great if a woman won. Do you see why I brought that up?
Yes,
It's similar to being like, I don't even know what the rules are. It's like, it's okay. Just play the game.
Play the
You're
game.
You're a woman playing the game.
Play
it's
the
okay.
game. Well, and I think that is maybe something being raised as a girl. I don't know. But my husband
for sure. She's a victim in this, for sure.
Yeah.
I was just trying to, it was out of a loving place going like, you're not a bad person for wanting to be the first woman to win the show.
Yeah. Well, and I used to play tennis with my friend in grade school, and we would say, sorry.
Hilarious.
Hitting the ball back and forth, apologizing with each
not
hit.
A bit?
No, not a bit.
Because women...
Like I either hit it too hard for you to get, or I hit it and, or you got it, but it was a little harder than I thought.
That's a heartbreaking thing that you just said.
Yeah, but...
That's really... Okay, finish what you're saying about your dad and board games, and then we have to talk about Alone.
But I love Alone. Scott. So we've played board games before, and he's very good at Scrabble. And now I realize how much fun it is to play games with the rules. To play with the rules, it's fun.
Yeah.
Like, we never learned to play with the rules. My dad would just go, let's put the two sets together and just play on one board until the board's filled up, and then I just go, I mean, does it really matter anyways? Like...
That is such a... You know what it is? Let's take your dad out of it and just say that it reminds me of just like a self-centered... It's very self-centered, and it's like a power... It's a power play, and it's familiar.
Yeah.
When I was a little kid, I'd be like, let's play that game, and my friend would be like, you always lose interest, and I'd be like, I won't this time. And then I would.
Lose interest.
And I would, as soon as I wasn't winning, it was a computer golf game. And in my mind, tell me this is like early kind of, I'm not saying I have narcissistic personality disorder, but I was a kid and I was like, it's all about me, baby. And I was like, what if I play the best anyone's ever played? And then as soon as I'm not. Now I'm like fucking it up on purpose, and he was just doing it properly.
Yeah.
So of course he was frustrated with me. I hate how your dad plays board games.
Yeah, no, and and he was.
And now your husband has healed that a little bit.
He's healed that. Well, now
QAT?
we played. I have not played that yet, but I'm sure he knows that one.
He knows XI.
We played with Aparna Nancherla and her sweet pea Gabe, and they were very good at the game.
They were rocking it.
And it was fun. I did not realize that playing rules
Scrabble
with the
can
game
be
is fun.
No, rules are what make it fun. And so is a clock is what makes it fun.
Right,
Like basketball without a
controls.
clock is a nightmare of men endlessly bouncing a ball. Like, when does this end? We start clapping to end it. And they're like, we know, but there's no quarters or periods.
But that's so true. That's what makes Alone fun. Alone is like it's
No
limits.
clock. Yeah, exactly.
But you know they're gonna stop at some time, or at least I felt bad about watching some seasons where it became like a snuff film, where it was like, oh no, what this guy's he's getting too thin. Like somebody, like the guy in was it Argentina, where they were doing the one that was out in the Patagonia.
I didn't see that one. Oh no, Patagonia. Yeah,
That
season
was
6.
rough.
There was a guy who got sent home, and he was hoarding
saved 22
food.
fish.
Yeah.
And he got really skinny.
I know.
Which is
And you know you're in trouble when the Chiron comes up and says something. Mm-hmm. So there's a guy who's so skinny, you're so worried about him, and it says, hoarding food is a sign of starvation.
Yeah.
Isn't that weird? Isn't there something like uniquely human about how we break?
Yeah.
This is what I mean when I'm saying it's like that's a metaphor. It's like you have food.
Well, that's
eat it. You have to love yourself. You have to say, maybe I'll give myself half the advance. Like, you know what I mean? It's like a similar.
Yeah, my dad, well, when he was getting depressed after my mom died, he was 5'10", he got to like 130 pounds far too thin. And we'd be like, Dad, you gotta fucking eat. And everyone was telling him to eat. His girlfriend was bringing over candy, etc.
Mary?
And Mary. And
From the Hoagie Show?
who loves board games. She played this game called Mexican Train. I know the name is problematic, but
There are trains in Mexico.
no, but there certainly are, and that people are riding on desperately towards who knows. And but she
Abandoned the riff like jumping off a train, which I appreciated.
she would say, "Well, if you're losing." And you're upset about it, you've got to go in the crybaby room, and which was so fun. I went in the crybaby room just to see what it was like. She really was into games.
I
Yeah.
am shocked that someone said if you're losing and you don't like it, you got to go in the crybaby room. And was there a room designated the crybaby room?
Yes, she pointed to it.
What was it? The kitchen?
It was. I think it was like a room in the basement.
Okay, this is taking a turn because that's a scary room. That's the scariest room in the house.
No, I went in it briefly. It was fine. It was a choice.
Had you
went in if you
decorated it
needed
with
some time.
streamers? Did it say the crybaby room?
Well, I think it's an emotional place you go to.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not a metaphor, though. It is a physical place.
It is a physical place. You go on in there. No, Mary was the best.
Oh, we're talking about Alone.
But Alone, yeah. I love the show. We're now, I always talk about with my husband of how long we'd last. Number one, my 10 items would be 10 Hershey's almond chocolate bars. Okay? Then we'd just lay down in a bed of leaves.
Yes.
Bed of leaves.
Yes.
And just see how long we last.
So funny. We've been overdoing it. I can't hear Gillnet. I'm going to go check my traps. I need fat.
Apache Deadfall.
Apache Deadfall. Yeah, Deadfall.
Dead.
It is sort of the same thing. And I'm always struck that people don't get weirder. Like, you would be fun on that show because you would,
I would
once
really
you
lose
get
it
a little,
fast.
that's what I mean. I'm not trying to make light of mental issues,
Well, I wonder
but
if
it's
people
like,
take meds. I don't know if they're allowed their medications.
they seem like steady eddies. It's day 100 and they're like, well, I'm here in Rock House.
Yeah.
And, this was all for my mom. Yes. Roland, why aren't you going like, my armpit's just to fuck another ass that doesn't shit? Like, where was that? Where was that? I just fucked 2 stones dry. I could have wet them. Like where's
There's
that?
only been
Where's
one
that?
poop joke in 9 seasons. Only one person pooped on, peed or pooped. It was the British lady who was just on.
never saw it.
She just peed and said, "Oh, I shouldn't have been." But yeah, they've really been.
I would make
good on that.
I'd make a god day 1.
Yeah.
Like, not a real god, but like just a deity. I'd make a god. I would make a Groot style god, and I would be like, and I'd leave it little fish. Like, I'd do stuff that would make them worry about me. I'm like, and I leave a piece of the fish to Groot. And I made this joke before, but they can't show it because it's Marvel, so they blur it. Oh. And people are like, is this got a big labia or something? I'm like, no, it's Groot. But I'd leave it little fish. I'd pray to it. If my gill net was empty, I'd curse it. I'd go, curse you, Groot! Like, no one does that. They're very normal for people who can live alone.
It's editing, I also think. I wonder if they edit
You think
out.
they spare them?
Well,
I don't want to know about farting too, because there's a lot
of farting and
just for
and
the
laughing,
warmth of it,
and laughing about their own farts.
Yeah.
Come on, that's
I thought it was that fox. I can do Jordan from season 6 as well. Jordan was like, I had to go out there and there was a bunch of snow on the ground. It's like Canadian Native American voice.
Yes,
it was very very interesting to me. That Wolverine stole a lot of my fat.
I love that
If
guy.
anyone's seen the show, they're dying because that's a very good impression. I killed a moose. I shot it with a blunt arrow and watched it die over 9 hours.
Pete Holmes going to be doing an Alone tour. He's doing a tour of Alone impressions. It's a one-man show. Oh my God, that would sell out.
You think so?
Oh,
Is
I
Alone
think
a big show? I can't figure it out.
I think so. Well, I think it's definitely a niche that you get into.
Yeah. There's definitely millions of people
Yeah.
that have seen it because they keep doing it. I wouldn't make it. I remember when you got married. I forget where we were. Maybe New York or something. It doesn't matter. But I was like, I'm like your dad. Does it even matter?
Really? You know what my favorite story is? Sisyphus. That guy, he has to roll up a stone, up this hill, and then it rolls back down on him, and then he's just got to do it again, right? I mean, isn't that the shit?
Is your dad alive?
No, he passed away because I believe part of it was because of depression. He just he stopped eating and he got COVID, and he passed away within probably like 48 hours, and it made me so sad. It was just
Whoa.
awful.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But yeah, no, I'm sorry too. And the good thing was that we all got to be there with my poppy, and he had some wonderful hallucinations.
Really?
So he was like, oh, there's a breeze off the lake. This is a great day for a sail. Oh, look, it's my cookie club. Hey, you guys, I want to play. My dad had a cookie.
No.
My dad had a cookie club when he was a kid. What a cookie club is, you get your mother or your parent. You go, hey, can you have all the kids come over once a week with their parent with a different kind of cookie, and that's called fucking cookie club, and you make that happen.
That's something we can do.
Yeah, well,
We can do that.
We can do a cookie club.
Cookie club.
Yeah.
You ever have a chocolate chip cookie that has so much butter in it? You're like, is this butter with chocolate chips in it? And
Yeah.
it's the best thing you've ever had.
Oh my God, I love that with the salt.
Salt.
Salt really makes
Took us
it.
a long time to figure out salt. I think some poor baker in like the 90s was like, put salt on it, it'll last longer. Like it was just a preservative. And we like stumbled into the best tasting thing. It's fantastic.
I love food so much, and I can't eat as much of it as I want because then I'd have to keep buying new pants, and it's irritating to me because this is a topic that's been covered.
Sweatpants.
There's sweatpants or Vuari. Are you guys sponsored?
What's
by
Vuari?
Vuari. It's a new Instagram company that has lots of loose-fitting pants that are smooth. They smooth your edges. Also, I have a lot of Spanx, which they're uncomfortable, so they must be cute. They hurt. Am I
wore
pretty?
Spanx.
Am I?
For a couple of the seasons of Crashing, I was wearing Spanx because they were like, it makes you look smoother.
Isn't that?
like-
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I was like-
I didn't think they did that to guys.
No, they do.
How?
But I remember being like, I guess this is what it is. I do
so
look
gross.
smoother. Yeah, no, it was uncomfortable.
They did that to me. The time I got the most enraged, and this is a champagne problem, so please erase this from the show if I sound like a queen. When I had my television show, they would come around and touch me around my waist, tucking in blouses.
Oh, sure.
And I wanted to howl
Yeah.
from the depths. Do not touch me around the waist.
Yeah. Well, I'll join you in King griping because the thing when Crashing was canceled, the thing that I was the most happy about was that people wouldn't come up and they have to.
I know. That's the whole job.
Here's what I figured out. Talk about like mental illness, whatever, or neurodivergence is a
Yes,
better way to
yeah.
put it. One thing that I figured out is me being touched at certain times is different from other people being touched. And like sometimes Val comes up and tenderly cups my face and I'm like, you're putting apple cider vinegar in my eyeballs right now.
Yeah.
But I actually suppress it. I don't know if that's healthy, but I'll just kind of go like, it's almost over. It'll take, like, I know she
3
means it
seconds,
lovingly
yeah.
and it's okay. But sometimes I have like that fabric sensitivity and touch sensitivity. And it really makes you feel like an outcast that you're like, but people are hugging you or
They're
something.
kind,
I'm like,
try to be kind, or leading you by the small of your back.
yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Yeah.
You gotta ask.
See,
you
this
gotta
is why
ask.
you're so good at being sensitive to people's feelings is because you've wished that for yourself.
Yeah,
It's empathy.
Yeah, and I would love to be a warm pile of softness, but I'm not, and it's okay.
I'm not a good time.
I am not a good
But yeah,
time.
I'm having a nice time talking with you.
Well,
See, you give it these perimeters. You give it parameters. You don't seem like the kind of person who's ever seen a ghost.
I haven't. My husband says he's seen a ghost.
Really?
I want to believe him. I respect him.
But also, strike one.
I wonder. All right, I just go. Well, that's your experience. My sister.
What
also
is his ghost?
His ghost was in an attic. In his neighborhood, it was in the garage of an attic, and it was like an old man. And I was like, there was probably an old man living up there. But my sister, now that's...
He kept saying something about food, food, and help me.
Yeah.
And we were like, get out of here, ghost.
It's like, oh, what if
Lock the attic. There's a ghost up there. And he's like, my name is Reynolds.
What if the zombies come? No, there is a fentanyl problem. There is a genuine fentanyl problem. The zombies are here.
Yes,
the zombies are here.
Interesting.
My sister sees and has connections and sees with people. And I just
Oh,
it's
so she
not my
does
thing.
like almost like seances. Like I will.
She does journeys, from what I know, and so totally. And it seems wonderful. Like it really gives her guidance and
Is
gives
this
her life
ayahuasca?
meaning. I believe she's done ayahuasca. I don't want to say that publicly if she doesn't feel comfortable. But
If
then
you're a shaman and a life coach, go ahead and assume the government's like, this lady's sipping the medicine.
she's maybe had a couple
She imbibes.
a couple of sips.
Your parents did ayahuasca.
No, they turned out they didn't. They wimped out at the last minute. So my dad, my mom, she said she got a message from Jesus through, I think it was the placement of a blanket on her bed. She said, if the blanket is, in a certain way, then I'll do it. And if it's not, I won't. All right. And my dad, he asked.
It's a big decision to put to the blanket.
Really is. My dad decided, well, I just said, to the shaman, I said, hey, Paul, could we just do something softer like mushrooms? Which I was just, Dad, this is a holy indigenous rite. You can't just say, oh, could you cut the communion one with some Diet Sprite? Yeah, I'd love to have the sanctified blood of Christ, but if you got 2 rocks and a lime back there. But he did it.
I somehow listened to the bit and I must have just tuned out that they didn't do it. I don't know how I missed it.
Yeah, and I was so scared for them because but they, and I know people who have had just wonderful experiences.
And it does help. I mean, there's medical literature. I'll be that guy.
Yeah, evidence
that says that mushrooms and psychedelics do help with death. Fear
and ketamine. I know that my husband just tried ketamine, and you'd have to ask him, but I don't know if it was something he wants to do again. But it was pricey, which that feels good when you throw some cash at something. It's like, no, I really dig something, but.
As someone who's done ketamine, I would imagine he would like to do it again. Yeah.
Yeah. He said it was just like getting high, and then you come back to reality and go, all right.
Interesting. I've heard it framed other ways. My experience was atypical, I think. But a lot of people, the euphoria of it emboldens them to do shadow work. They say the same thing about ayahuasca. There's a oneness, a feeling of unity that you then go back from while you're still on the drug and go like, okay, I can look at this, or this, whether it be a fear of death. Imagine just feeling so connected to everything that your own death becomes as inconsequential as like whether or not I pick this up and put it back down. And then you're not afraid. So you're like, okay, let's talk about it. Let's think about it. It's kind of like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, he said he was inside the color brown.
That sounds about right.
And then it was over. And I believe it was $400.
That's a lot of money.
And then he had to go back through the metro system of Los Angeles, which is a whole other dimension in itself. So I don't know. We'll see. How many times have you done it?
I just did it once.
Once. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, would you recommend it then, or?
I would. You know who it really helped too was Gary Gulman, who came up.
Oh, nice.
In my mind earlier.
Yes.
He had some good experiences from that because it helped him transcend a very crippling depression.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
It would do that. It would take you up, but then it unfortunately puts you back. You know, it's not a cure, but it is a break.
It gives you a
And
break.
in the break, you can kind of go like, where am I in the maze?
Yeah.
These aren't Gary's words. I'm just saying that's
Yeah.
kind of the idea.
Yeah.
I would,
awesome.
I do recommend it to people, but not to everybody. It would certainly depend on a professional or whatever you want.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put that responsibility on a professional. You're gonna want to talk to a professional. About
Yeah, and a professional. That's also so hard. Like, I have a psychiatrist. He takes my insurance, so that's why I love him. But my psychiatrist only texts, which I believe is not good care. But
And it's only emojis.
it's fine. It's fine.
That's the guy
Anyways,
walking in the hole emoji.
He says he texts. I'll text him. He'll text me back and go, "Let's count this as an appointment." I'll be like, "You do you. You do you, Dr. Shaw."
Let's count this as an appointment. You should write back, let's count this as a live concert. You owe me $75. You owe Ticketmaster $75 and me $75. Well, I've heard you reference being an atheist before.
Yes.
I'm curious.
I'm just worried. I'm checking the time. Just
No,
to make
check
sure
the
that
time.
I
We're
don't
wrapping
go-
up. We're out of here.
Okay.
This is the last
last
question.
bit, last chunk.
We can even skip it.
Okay. No. Okay. Yes.
No, that wasn't passive aggressive. I'm like, this is your episode.
Okay.
We've done so much.
Yes.
We've been going 90 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that's where we're at.
That's plenty. Nobody needs more than.
You'd be surprised.
Oh
A lot
wow.
of people out there. This is very Maria Bamford. A lot of people out there with driving jobs. A lot of people out there with data entry jobs. Things that they don't need their full mental, so they can get involved, and they love a long form. So they're with you. They enjoy it.
Okay.
Don't you dare tweet them a word that indicates that they made it to this point in the episode. Banana bread.
I scooped for breakfast. I had a scoop of peanut butter and a Diet Coke, and that's one of the many recipes that you'll find in my new book. Sure, I'll join your cult.
Sure, I'll join your cult.
Yeah. Anyways, I had to promote something because
No, I loved it. It just sounded so much like you said, Cheryl, join your cult.
Sure. Oh no. Have you ever been in a? Well, you were in Christianity.
I
right?
was in
Deep.
Christianity, which I consider more of a kink than a cult. It's so kinky.
Oh,
now that I
yeah.
think about it, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just saying when I look back on my own relationship to God at that time, there was a very, like Equus, the play Equus, there's a real like, God knows I'm a piece of shit. He's after me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just kind of makes your nips tingle a little bit. You're just sort of like, ooh, what's he gonna do? And it when you mix sexuality into that and the evil of it, and you want it so bad, it's almost like, you know, when you like go off chocolate for a month to eat chocolate and make it better. It's almost like that idea got smeared into a whole part of our biology.
Yes.
To actually kind of like overtly or maybe unintentionally make it hotter.
Yeah, I had a evangelical Christian roommate in college who, when her boyfriend and her got too hot and heavy with the making out, they would get down on their knees and pray
Together, I'm sure. Yeah.
for the feelings to go away. And I said, that is the fucking hottest thing I've ever heard in my
It is.
life.
It is. I've said this a million, but I'm going to say it to you. Our pastor was fired or like disbarred or whatever it is. The elders booted him because he had sex with someone he was counseling. And I was like, I know.
Of course.
Yes, of course. It's like a cliche. I understand there's a power dynamic. I don't know the details. I just know there's a lot of different ways to look at this, as I'm realizing before I say my riff. I'm just saying they fell in love. They started having sex. And I'm like, you can't get hotter.
Yeah.
You can't get hotter than we're going to hell for this. Like it's the ultimate, like, what's the word? Not cosplay, but it's like, oh my God, I want, it's like Pride and Prejudice. Like I know our families are forbidden, but it's even more. It's like
biblical.
Yeah, like old school God is like gonna fucking get me if he catches us, so we better do it behind these fucking bushes.
I had to seduce my father so that we could give the more children of Israel. What's that one that's Is that no? Lot's daughters.
Lot's daughters. They're banging on his door, and they give him his other daughters to rape. I'm sorry, there's no other way to say it.
Well, yeah, the story goes they leave Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah.
His wife looks back. She turns into a pillar of salt. All he has is his 2 daughters. They get their dad drunk.
You
and
know
then
you love
rape
salt when that
their
starts.
father.
Sorry.
Then they rape their father so that they can continue the tribe of Israel.
Oh, yeah, they want to get
something.
pregnant.
Yeah, they want to get
Yeah,
pregnant.
yeah.
I was like, I don't think that's how that went down. But
There's
I love
another
it.
story. I was confusing it with another horrible story, which was they wanted to rape somebody and they sent out someone else. They were like, well, you can't have them, but here's the other. I don't even know who that is. Yeah, there's a lot of goof troop in that. There's a lot of goof troop in there. All that aside, formalized religion aside, when we were talking about ketamine, an experience of oneness, and even science would talk about the quantum field or like the singularity, the lowest point of everything being kind of in this math. Or what I'm really saying is like the Big Bang is the idea that everything was one thing and it expanded.
Yes.
I'm wondering if you have any sort of feeling about reality other than just like a rock and mammals and living and dying. Is there a bigger picture for Maria Bamford?
I wish.
No, that should be your only answer. And I'll always remember that you just went, and would never forget
yeah,
it.
okay.
Because it's great. No, but now I do want to hear all your thoughts if you want to share.
I don't know. I mean, I think I am limited. I wish I had more thoughts. That'd be great. But I seem to.
You don't need more thoughts.
I circulate in a certain pattern because it's fun. And
what's the pattern?
The pattern is, well, this one seems to still get me. I get triggered or whatever by I go, you can't go out because you're old and filthy and unattractive. Okay, so that's an exciting thought. And then I go, but you're also, nobody wants to talk to you because you're not of any worth. And then I trigger on for that and I go, but what about the thing where you're not good enough to be outside? And then I go back to, I better stay inside. And that's a little circle. I run it every day, and I usually can pop myself out of it with a nitro cold brew, which is what I did prior to this talk. And I hope, I was really here.
You were
this
really
moment.
here. And I know what you're describing isn't logic based. It's not evidence based.
No,
it's a disease.
Bananas.
It's
absolute trash.
Because that's why I was going to say me saying like you're worthy. It's wonderful to talk to you. You're a treasure. It's not the solution, but I am still going to say it.
Well, thanks.
It's wonderful talking to you.
And it's wonderful talking to you too.
Yeah.
And it's wonderful to come into your home. I love seeing people's homes.
Yeah. Do you have
I almost went into the house across the street,
Yes.
and I got real scared because it was very it's an
Yeah.
articulated,
No, I've been in that
fancy
house.
home.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh shit.
Why'd they do this? Yeah.
I'm really going to be monstrous.
Yeah,
And then, because
yeah.
I make things dirty as soon as I enter them. And now I'm like, this seems much more colorful, playful.
If you like a lived-in look,
yeah, I love it.
hang out with
Thank
the
you.
Holmeses. Yeah.
We have a lived-in place. There's lots
Us
of
too.
dog
I love a
pee.
stack of books that you can put a
Yeah.
drink on.
Yeah, put a drink. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not adverse to a cobweb in the corner.
Spiders
Yeah.
hanging happily.
Hanging happily. It looks like they're the most unhappy you can be. It's a suicide joke. You see a spider and you're like, oh no, he's hanging quite happily.
Oh, he's hanging. Yes. No, he's got stuff to do. Well, I am delighted. Thank you so much for having me and allowing
You
me to
can't
plug.
wrap it up. I'm just kidding.
can't.
I'm just kidding.
I've got to go.
I'm just kidding.
I can't possibly talk anymore.
You're a delight. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was
Thank you so
100% a joke. Would you say keep it crispy? You've said it before when you did the live show. It's just how we say goodbye.
Keep it crispy.
Thank you, Maria.
Thank
Your
you.
new book, Sure I'll Join Your Cult, is available September.
September.
Goodbye.
Nice. Thank you.
That was so wonderful. Thank you for...
You made it weird. You made it weird. You made it weird.